Question for you. Heat by Bill Buford.
Wonderful book. Wonderful. I mean, he's a funny guy, I think. Here's this man, he has probably the most coveted, enviable job for a writer in the world. I mean, besides working for the New York Times and the New Yorker, they're head to head, right? It's like people have in their homes, very famous writers have in their homes all the rejection letters from the New Yorker, yeah. So here he is, he's working for the New Yorker. He already has sort of like a cushy, how do you get, a foot in the door? You have already, in another industry, considered like high profile job. It's like all those people out there that they are a cook for a day in restaurants because they're like multi-millionaires so they can buy their way in. So in a way it's sort of like, he had this real shoe-in, right? But I thought that he, in certain chapters especially, he was really intuitive, and there was a, right at the beginning of the book, he talks about there's a death in the Babo kitchen, and I just started crying. I mean, I've been in kitchens where someone dies, or where someone's spouse or sister or brother or the chef dies. I mean, I've seen it all. So I thought, good for him to write. He was writing about what we call the support staff, which is oftentimes the sort of easy to oppress people, whoever they are in whatever state or country you're in. And so for him, he's writing about people not in America. So I thought, good for him to not just deal with the like cushy white people topics, good for him to sort of get in there. And also, even though at times, I mean, he thinks a lot of himself, I sort of have trouble reading writers that think like way too much of themselves, but he's also really humble, and he's that scene where he sets himself on fire and he was just crying. We've all done it, or like the scene where he keeps getting this horrible burn, and they're all watching him in the kitchen. Oh look, the white guy, he's burning himself. He's so stupid. Look how stupid he is. And he's in there going like, I don't know what to do. I feel so stupid, because he is stupid. And then someone walks over and is like, those are the tongs. You place the meat into the hot oil with the tongs. It's like not rocket science, but if you've never worked in a kitchen where you're unloading thousands of pounds of meat to braise, you don't really realize like you can't put your hand in a vat of boiling oil. So it's like he had a good balance. And also what I loved about that book is, and this is sort of what I deal with on my blog, is the minutia, which when I first started writing a blog, I thought, no one's gonna care about the weird thing about butter that I know about, or
and how he talks about learning to cut carrots.
Right, exactly. But the whole pasta chapter, that sort of separates the people who hated the book and loved the book. I read it and reread it, and like the whole thing because pasta is basically like 2 to 3 ingredients. It's flour and water, which is what makes all bread, and like hopefully sometimes the presence of a fat source, so egg yolks or oil or whatever. So here's this thing, it's 2 ingredients, and yet it's sort of like people who make cheese are always like, all it is dairy and a culture, and it's sort of weird because there's thousands of cheeses. So it's like he got really into the crazy particular thing, and he traveled to here and he watched this woman, and it was like the craziness. I felt like there's a part of the book that almost is like becomes this like this warren, this like rabbit warren, and you're like, I'm gonna meet Alice in Wonderland pretty soon and have a tea party, because it's just like deeper and deeper and deeper. So that book is like, that book and Kitchen Confidential are really, they're the ones that are important to read.